I'm gonna be teaching you how to gain some lean muscle without gaining hardly any weight in 5 easy to follow steps. Check it out. So first things first, you need to create a calorie surplus. So how this is done, how the way I like to do it, is by using this thing called a Harris-Benedict formula. And with this formula, you basically plug in your age, your weight, your height, your gender, and what it's gonna do is it's gonna calculate the exact amount of calories that you need at a resting phase. Anyways, you can take a look at the formula. It's pretty easy to follow. You just plug in your information and you're gonna find out what your calorie maintenance level is. Now, what you need to do from here is create a surplus. In order to gain muscle, you need to be eating at a calorie surplus, meaning you're eating more than your body needs. The reason you do this is because you're giving your body the supplies that it needs to build the muscle. So it's incredibly important, and I typically recommend anywhere from about 250 to about a 500 calorie surplus. If you're having a little bit more of a tougher time gaining muscle, some of you ectomorphs, then I'd recommend going closer to the 500. And also you're gonna wanna figure out what your lean bulking macros are. Your macros consist of 3 things: carbs, protein, fat. I've got a video, I'll link it in the description, explaining exactly how you can figure that out, as well as your bulking calorie intake, so that you can create that surplus so you can put on some muscle. Step number 2 to put it on muscle, lean muscle that is increasing your strength. As your strength increases, muscle mass will increase as well. So it's important that you're tracking your main and most important key lifts. This list includes the following: your bench press, your shoulder press, your deadlift, your squat, things of that nature. Heavy, big compound movements where you're gonna be having to lift a lot of weight. So what you need to do on a weekly basis is track the exact amount of weight that you can lift every single week. And then every other week after that, you're gonna come revisit those exercises and try and beat them. Progressing each week by increasing your strength in these exercises will stimulate a ton of muscular gain. Now, how you can go about actually increasing your strength in these exercises is by following a certain training system, getting used to heavier lifts, and also, and most importantly, my favorite strategy, training to absolute failure. So if that's a bicep curl, for example, and you're lifting a 50-pound dumbbell, and you're lifting it up on that 7th rep, you can just barely get it up, and then on that 8th rep, you can't even get it, you can only get it up halfway, that's failure, and that's an incredible thing. Because as soon as you hit that point, your body, as intelligent as it is gonna realize that more strength is going to be needed to adapt to this new environment and this new stimuli. And as a result, you're gonna increase your strength, and as a result of that, you're going to increase muscle mass as well. Our next effective method that we're going to be using for gaining lean muscle mass is the use of muscle confusion. So as I've already mentioned, the body's incredibly intelligent. And what it's going to do is it's going to begin adapting to the training program that you're already providing it. So after a while, this thing called plateauing is going to happen. What you need to do is prevent the plateauing from slowing or stopping your results. The only way you can do this is by switching your routine, either from the methods of changing the exercises, changing the rep schemes, adding some intensity increasers such as a drop set or a superset or pause reps or things of that nature, or you're gonna implement the use of a deload week where your training is not gonna be nearly as intense as it has been over the past few weeks. It might be about 50% of what you normally do. And it's just to give your body a period for it to truly recover. Sometimes 1 to 2 rest days isn't enough in order for your body to fully repair, especially if you've been training for a fairly long time. So what you might need to do then is implement a deload of about a week-long period where your training is only about 50% of your intensity, or by taking advantage of any of the other muscle confusing tactics that I'd mentioned earlier, such as the rep changing, the set changing, the addition of those intensity increasers. You just want to give your muscles a new system so that they don't have the ability to get used to the training that you're constantly giving them. Give them something new and the muscles will continuously and consistently grow. The next important step that we must make in order to build lean muscle is to prevent injury. You don't want to be off for like 2 or 3 weeks at minimum, sometimes even like month-long periods, 2-month-long periods, 3-month-long periods where you cannot train. When you're not training at that point of time, you're not only gonna be not building muscle, but you're also gonna be losing a lot of that muscular gain that you were able to make. So avoiding injury by all costs is extremely important if you really want to allow yourself to gain as much muscle as possible. So how can we avoid injury? There's two methods that I like to follow in order to avoid injury at all costs. The first one is to always warm up properly before every single workout, especially if I'm gonna be doing a max effort lift and trying to set a new PR. Number two is to use proper and strict form to prevent yourself from injuring yourself. This is especially important on lifts such as your heavy compound lifts, where you're gonna be lifting close to your max effort amount of weight. Any kind of improper form under these types of exercises, and I'll tell you this much, you are almost guaranteed to injure yourself at some point or another. So prevent injury and promote gains. My fifth and final step in order to put on lots of lean muscle mass is to allow your body the time to recover. Allow it to recover, rebuild, and regrow. It's absolutely important for you to take at least a couple of days every single week to give your body the time that it needs to repair the muscles that you've spent pretty much all week completely destroying. You spend a decent amount of time breaking down the muscle fiber. You need to give the body about the same amount of time in order for it to rebuild that muscle back up to its original size, and as well to increase it and make it a little bit bigger and a little bit stronger as well. Roughly, you're gonna need about 24 to 48 hours between each workout in order for it to fully repair. And the benefit of this is that you're gonna be a lot fresher at the beginning of each and every single workout, meaning that you're gonna be able to push your body incredibly far. You're gonna be able to get your body as close to failure as possible, and you're gonna be able to set consistent PRs because of how fresh you feel, because you've given your body the proper amount of time that it needs in order for it to recover, repair, and rebuild into a stronger, bigger, and better version of itself. So there you guys go. That's my 5-step process to putting on lean muscle mass quickly. I know that a few of those tips in there were about maintaining, but honestly, it's super important. I've had a lot of off time due to injuries, and it's prevented me from making the kinds of gains that I've wanted to. And it's also caused me to lose a lot of muscle mass, kind of get out of shape at different points in my life. So that's why I respect and recommend those steps and those tips in order for you to actually gain muscle.